I'll call this meeting to order. This is the Breezy Point City Council, July 2nd, regular city council meeting. First order of business is pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have the consent calendar. We have the city council minutes from June, the regular city council minutes from June 4th. We have special council meetings from June 14th and June 18th. We also have the approval of claims totaling $48,874.58, which is the summation of electronic checks 2092E through 2094E, and paper checks 134339 through 134401, and 134405 through 134434, and 134437 through 134471. And we also have a copy of the Konica copier contract, that's easy for you to say, which is basically an annual contract. There was some slight changes to that contract, and it's indicated in a memo that's also part. If anybody would like to talk to anything special and would like it removed from the consent calendar, please make that indicated now. Councilman Maroney?
No.
Councilman Mitchell?
No.
Councilman Ball?
No.
Councilman Bakken?
No, sir.
Okay. All those in favor of the consent calendar as written, please say aye.
Aye.
The consent calendar is approved. Next item is open forum. Anybody wishing to come before the city council and speak on any topic may do so at this time. Wishing to come up? Ori?
Roy Wallers, Breezy Point, 8871 Birch Lane. I was kind of looking at item C under 7. I was wondering how that's going to roll out as far as the forfeited lot sale policy.
Well, yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
so,
So are you forgetting about the people that have paid taxes on, or not paid taxes, or do I have to wait till we discuss it, or what?
well, no, I mean, you can make comments as to what you would like to voice your opinion on.
Well, I'm not sure how it's going to roll out. I just got to listen
Okay.
and find out.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll close open forum. Mayor and City Council reports. I did attend the tax forfeited land sale on June 29th. We did have 4 parcels in Breezy Point that sold for a total of $30,007.71. Basically, that money essentially goes to the county. However, we did recover $2,107.71 on special assessments. It was really refreshing to see people actually bidding. Previous sales had been just skipping over Breezy Point. So with the turn in the economy and with the interest in tax forfeit lots coupled with reducing the prices and various other incentives that have been going on, it has sparked a lot more interest. One item, and I handed out kind of a packet of items. We did have a sale of some tax forfeit property that was done over the counter. And the county records did not show that there were any special assessments on these. Well, it turns out that there was some special assessments, and it created some confusion, and I don't have all, Pat, why don't you give me a few more details on this as far as what the lots were priced at and stuff?
So if you look at this map that was in the last page, there's 3 parcels in blue identified. The one on the top of the map did show an assessment, was sold with an assessment of approximately $2,500. The 2 parcels to the right of that, scenic overlook, were also sold. These were 3, but they were sold as 1 parcel. But those 2 lots should have also had an assessment. To help show that, I included the property tax statements for those 2 lots. That's the only 2 that you can find for those 2 parcels, and then you can show that there was a tax assessment for those 2 lots. However, the county did not identify that. With that, we sent them some information inquiring about that, and you see the memorandum in the last 2 pages. And they identified that they don't have the time to do that kind of situation, to look up parcels like that. So I've spoken with Tom about that. And, is that all the information you're looking at?
Yeah. And basically, this kind of, well, this does upset me quite a bit, because essentially they're responding and saying that even though we have assessments on these lots, they don't have time to inform the public about it, which I find totally and wholly unacceptable. Between myself and Patrick, we are going to be moving forward to try and resolve this issue, because I find this not only disconcerting from the standpoint of a person walks up and says, I want to buy this for $1,000, and then find out there's $2,000 worth of special assessment on it that they didn't know about as a surprise. And that was an over-the-counter sale. If this happened during an auction sale, they would be bidding on it, paying have a winning bid of whatever the price would be, and then walk up to the counter and find out that there's an assessment on it that they did not know about, and it was not advertised. So this is an item that I definitely was, it was kind of funny, because Pat and I were talking about it just previous to this, and this was before this happened. So it was kind of ironic that this did show up at an over-the-counter sale just recently. So,
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I might have missed it, but so in this case, when these sold, they did find out when purchasing, so,
No, they did not.
okay, so they did not know about it, and so they're not paying the special assessment, or it is not back in the tax roll, or the county's taking, what's the outcome of that?
We're going to have to work with the county and follow up on how they want us to let these people know that there's an assessment they're responsible for.
right,
Okay.
This just was part of what we found out Friday.
yeah.
So it'll still be assessed, it'll just take some more,
We have every intention of still
Okay.
assessing them. The assessment didn't go away because it was not paid.
got it.
Okay.
But I assume they have the right to back out then because they were not notified?
That I'm not that familiar with the tax forfeited lot sale process that the county follows by statute.
Yep, that's why it makes it so confusing, and it's really upsetting to me that something like that could occur. So, like I say, we're going to make it a priority to try and resolve this, because it just, well, first off, it just doesn't make sense. And it's just because they don't have time to look this up and to put it on the paper, put it onto the database that people would look up to find the lots.
Absolutely.
If I can just, the one thing, I did run into the same problem when I was in Brainerd back in 15 and 14, so it's not new to them.
Yeah. Which is even more upsetting from the standpoint of this has been going on for years, and they're not doing anything about it.
How would the state look at that? Excuse me.
I have not looked at the statutes for sales of tax forfeited lots, so I guess I don't want to, till I know more details.
Right. This was something that, I mean, it just literally popped up in the last couple of days, even though we had
obviously.
discussed it, a couple of weeks ago, as far as this is kind of an idiosyncrasy and they're not doing this. But now all of a sudden, it came to fruition. And,
Well, they're remiss in their responsibility, their duties,
yep,
for God's sake.
so. Next thing I want to make note of is July 21st on Saturday is the butterfly release. Are we selling butterflies yet?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so you can buy your butterflies, here at the City Hall. Just come in and see Kathy and say, I want a butterfly, and she will sign you up for a butterfly.
What time is that?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Yep. So that's a very important thing. It's a lot of fun. You see a lot of kids there. And it's really kind of neat when everybody opens up the little packet and the monarch butterflies are all flying around. Hundreds of butterflies in the garden there, landing on, not only do they land on the flowers, they'll land on the little kids.
Their hand?
Or on somebody's shoulder, on their hand. And it's a photo opportunity that's, you don't want to miss. Any other reports? Council members, I'll start with you, Councilman Buchan.
In the packet is the information on the cart path and
Okay.
Patrick's direction on that.
Yep,
Other than that, nothing.
okay. Councilman Ball.
Yeah, the comprehensive plan, the first kickoff steering meeting has been scheduled. So I'll go with emails or invites for that, but that'll be July 12th at 6 p.m. right here at City Hall.
Okay, very good. I'm excited to see that getting started.
Yeah.
Councilmember Mitchell.
No report.
Councilmember Maroney.
I have just some compliments for both our Public Works Department and our Parks and Rec Committee. Been able to use some of our facilities lately, such as the beach. I know we did a lot of work with the new wall there. The steps, I think, were a needed addition, so that was very much appreciated that we got that done. If anybody has gone to Public Beach, we have nice steps going down, and the protection of the sand will be there now as well. And I guess we're going to move on to that for the summer here. The park area, always well maintained, and the disc golf course, great asset to the community, and got to finally play the back nine, and that was wonderful. So
I'm going to try and get to the golf course this week.
it was great. So just compliments for both the Park and Rec Committee and Public Works for all that work.
Okay. Administrator and staff reports. The RFP that we had discussed, committee report, Personnel Committee. That is a line item. Is there any comments from personnel that you would like to throw in here? But, otherwise, I know we're going to get to the clerk position, a deputy clerk position here in a little bit. Nothing special to report? Okay. Jump on to administrator and staff reports. Previously, we had put out an RFP on the city airport lots 46, 47, and 48. Represented the airport. We had no responses on those. We had a couple inquiries, but there was nothing came to fruition on that. And my recommendation, Pat and I had talked about this a little bit, let's just leave it open and have it sit there and have it maybe for a year or so before we revisit it again, or just leave it open.
So are they over the
Yeah.
counter sale lots right now, or do we have to reopen that bidding process that we?
I would suggest to council that you authorize staff to advertise one more time, but open until purchased. And that way you would be covered for a year or until you decide not to offer it any longer.
Right.
You need a formal motion for that.
I think there's more discussion first, but yes.
Well, yeah.
Could we somehow reword it to say that it's open for a year, put an end date on it? Maybe not even put an end date on it, but leave it open, but then upon the first actual RFP, put a 60-day closing window on it then? Because I just hate for it to say when it's finalized, and then, somebody else is working on the plan too, because they don't know somebody else is getting a plan prepared and ready.
I think as long as you guys put that in or
Yeah.
defined to put it in the notice. That way, anybody who bid on it would know what the timelines are.
Yeah, I'd like to somehow do that. Once the first RFP, the proposal is received, is then we resubmit or put another notice out there saying now there's a 60-day window to close this.
Okay,
That way it gives anybody else that's been considering the parcels to finally lock in what they need to do.
Mhm.
I'd rather not just do it upon the first receival.
yeah, that sounds good. So I'll entertain a motion to keep the RFP open for 12 months, at which time we will revisit it. And if a proposal is received, to start a 60-day countdown clock to finalize the sale.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Further discussion?
No,
Gary?
No, sir.
Rebecca? Gary?
I had a question go through my mind here. So they're protected then for 60 days?
Correct.
So if somebody else come along and said, and they would want to bid more, if these people choose to close in the 60 days, a higher bid would not be accepted?
The way I,
No, just the opposite.
Mm-mm.
No,
Okay.
if a person comes up with a proposal, and then we would send out notices, send out and post another notice saying that the 60-day clock has started. If we receive no other proposals within the 60-day window, then it will be finalized.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
but their proposal would not be made public.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
We
higher
would
bidder gets
open
it.
it until the 60 days is closed.
Correct. That's the way I understood
The
it.
higher bidder takes it.
Yep,
Okay,
Well, the best proposal.
best
Best
proposal.
proposal takes it, yes.
okay.
Same thing.
My only comment question was that we were gonna advertise that 60-day window, just a clarification. It sounds like that's
Yes,
the motion.
that would be the plan.
Perfect.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Resolution is passed. Next item is the hiring of the deputy clerk. We did have over 40 applicants that applied, and the staff reviewed the applicants and interviewed, was it 10 applicants?
7.
7 applicants. And the consensus was that Deborah Runksmeyer would be offered the position. And I'll entertain a motion to accept, or to offer the position of deputy clerk to Deborah Runksmeyer, and we'll have discussion. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. I'll start with you, Mr. Baca.
Thank you. Out of the 7 applicants, none of those 7 had any experience in governing a city or municipality or a burg.
I think there was one person that had worked 2 elections and one person that had done minor city work. Out of all 40 applicants.
Out of all 40. Troubling to me, there's no city background there. So the young lady, in my opinion, is going to have her hands full getting up to speed. That's my only comment.
And that's.
We're running out of time.
That's one of the reasons we have this large overlap, because
We're
there's a
gonna
lot of
need it.
information that is stored in that pretty little head over there. And we need to get as much of that out of there as we can
Yes.
with whatever time period we have. Rebecca? Any comments?
I have no comment.
Gary?
Yeah, Kathy, what's your thought on that? Is that complicated that she can't?
This is the type of job where you get the job and then you go to, they have a 3-year institute they do for deputy clerks or clerks. So you kind of learn on the job training, so she will be fine.
Okay.
It'll just take some time.
Okay.
Patrick, are you familiar with, she's got a Bachelor of Science degree, Recreation Administration. Is that anything to do that cross ties with city administration, or is it something completely separated?
I'm not sure my whole college career helped me with the job.
Obviously, you were part of the interviewing committees. You interviewed all of them. You felt that this would be one of the best applicants that you feel that could take the job. On-job training, you could teach if need be, and they could take off. Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor of offering the job to Deborah Runksmeyer, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Deborah Runksmeyer is hired. Next item is the golf cart path that we've talked about. We were hoping to get some,
You missed the
Yep.
you're right,
headed lot sale policy.
review and amend, approve the tax forfeited properties. Got it out of place here in my notes. We've had some special meetings dealing with tax forfeit properties and how we want to deal with the special assessments associated with those tax properties. We did task staff with coming up with a draft policy. You have a copy of that before you. And right now, we're looking for comments for any possible amendments or additions or subtractions. I'll start with you, Mike, as far as comments that you have on this tax property.
My first question that I have is item number 2, which Patrick, you outlined that was for discussion, but is that a discussion for us to decide upon tonight of which way we're going, or is this upon each application that comes in that somebody wants that we can discuss which way? I didn't fully understand how this was written like that.
I'm trying to be flexible, but my intent was that you create a policy, or you give direction tonight, and then we would create the policy, but as far as either percentage or just reassess at the end, those are your options, one or the other. If you decide to go with a percentage, you would set that tonight. If you decide to go with it at the end, you would still go with that tonight.
Okay.
Either or if you decide that what's happening today is fine, we just say the policy's not necessary.
Okay. My second question, and maybe I skipped over this, I didn't see it, but hold process. When we work with the county to hold those properties, parcels, have you inquired with the county, do they do such a thing when they're working with the city?
I would not have proposed it if I hadn't talked to them already.
Perfect, okay, thank you. And then the last question is, when it talks about the application process, one of the things was failure to perform. The developer fails to complete the improvements. But which part in this application do they actually just state what they're doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it?
That would be on the I was intending that to be on the application itself.
Okay.
So how many lots they were looking at, what specific lots, what assessments, and then what their timeline. If they were going to build one house, seemed pretty simple. If they were going to build 3 houses over 3 years, they would put that right in that details there.
Okay. For who it's for, is this for anybody over the counter?
And that's where I tried, I'm not sure if I accomplished it though, I was trying to identify that the lots have been, if these are lots that have been on this land sale for a year, 10 years, they've at least gone through the option and anybody could walk in it and say, I would like lots A, B, and C, F, G, and Z.
Those are my questions. Do you want me to state my comments on this go right now?
Yes, please.
I'm glad that we are opening it to anybody if it's been past the auction. The auction, I think, is a whole nother piece that I don't think should be talked about right now, or could be. But for the simplified of over-the-counter sales, I like that it can be anybody coming in to having this discussion with us. However, I'm still going to go back to my original statements that I don't believe that we need to discount those as special assessments, but I am 100% on board with reassessing those assessments even for the longer term of even the 20-year period. I still believe it's a hard policy for me to fathom to tell somebody that you can come in, buy a tax forfeited lot with special assessments, and we'll waive some, if not all of those special assessments. And you're gonna get the parcel at a reduced rate than a private retailer would be purchasing it from, than somebody who did pay full purchase price and paying taxes and continuing to pay their special assessments. So those are my comments.
Okay. Gary?
Well, I had talked about reducing them by 50%. Apparently, those people that were interested weren't interested in that. One thing that I am concerned with, that if somebody buys them, that we have a limitation. If we do discount that they would have 2 years to complete building. When you put in their start building, they can dig a hole and pour a footing and not come back for 10 years. But if we had a situation where they had a period of time to complete, that would be somewhat limiting. If they didn't complete it, then they would have to pay the full assessment to get out of it. I think we need to have some kind of a binding agreement. I don't know if, it seems to me I heard there was somebody in favor of just dropping it completely. I don't think I'm in favor of that. I am in favor of running it over a period of 10 or 20 years. But I would like to see some kind of a limitation on the time to have those lots built on. And if they're not, then if we give them some kind of a break, then that break is negated and they have to pay the full assessment to get out of it. That's my feeling.
Rebecca?
I had a similar question to Michael's. So when you use the term developer in this drafted policy, you mean anyone?
1, 2,
Anybody?
Okay.
7.
So we probably need to clarify that, because I think I was thinking bigger, than just, say, myself coming to purchase a property. But just from a drafting standpoint. And then, is this, you mentioned this is just for over-the-counter sales?
That's
and
what
not auction sales? Does that stated anywhere in here?
I don't believe so,
Okay.
but we can definitely clarify that point.
Okay, but the auction point, and I wasn't able to come to the last special meeting on this,
Right.
but that was more of a complicated discussion, I'm guessing, based on the comment, so that's why it's not part of this policy?
Yes, because of the fact that they haven't gone through the sale process, and maybe during the regular sale process, they could be acquired. So the idea would be that they go through the sale, then they're open. We already have substantial lots already, and all of these that we listed have gone through the listing for the
Okay.
sale.
Those are all just over the counter? Okay.
Can I build off that real quick,
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yeah.
If there was gonna go an auction, could they almost come in and pre-qualify? So that way when they're bidding, they know that their special assessment will either be discounted or reapplied on the tax roll?
Okay.
Your policy, yes.
Okay,
I was gonna say, that is a very option, and one of the things that I neglected to mention when I was talking about the land sale, there is going to be another land sale in December of 2018. We could say that all of the special assessments that are listed would be waived and any lot that would sell, the corresponding assessment would be certified to the tax roll for a period of 20 years. we need time to get that done so that it would be reflected in the rules of the auction. And that is something that is in our purview to accomplish.
And that could help sell them at auction rather than waiting for them to,
That is
Move to
that is
over-the-counter.
That is indeed true.
or maybe get a bigger, higher bid on them.
And that way, essentially, it costs us, nothing. Yeah, because it would be put onto the tax roll, we would get it all back over a longer period of time. Okay.
I guess I would be in favor of doing the same thing for the auctions as over the counter. I like that it's for everybody, so it would be available to everyone. And then I prefer the reassessment option, so that it's still assessed to the property and it's, everyone's treated the same, I guess, from that perspective. Those are the comments I had.
Gary?
Okay, bear with me, if you would, folks. Some observations. Number one, of note, Mr. Doty is not here tonight, and I probably understand why. He came prepared after some discussions with the city to represent the other faction there, and what was proposed last meeting when he was here, and you folk, both you were absent, did not help him do what he wanted to do. And in my opinion, he was encouraged that the council and the city would help him. So that's probably why he isn't here tonight. Another observation is, on my part, this has been going on forever and ever and ever, and I take my hat off to the mayor to try and find an acceptable course of action to get those back on the tax rolls. That is the purpose. Giving them away, in my opinion, and forget the taxes that I pay. I speak only for myself. I could care less. What I want to see is them being developed, affordable housing being built, and that's exactly what that gentleman and his partner had proposed, 10 or 12 lots, I believe, and that's what the city sorely needs. So that's enough of the history. I am totally in support of getting this done and quit kicking it down the road. Reminds me of another form of our government. I don't think we govern that way, and I don't want to govern that way. So I am for give them away. And if we can put together a reasonable plan for these people, let's do it. Fees he talked about. I've heard from several independent builders, our fees in the city of Breezy Point are too high. That negates them coming to town because they got it loaded up in the back end. And the margin, I don't know. I'm not a builder. It doesn't work for them. Park dedication fees is one. We have ample parks and beautiful parks. That park dedication fee, in my opinion, can go on the back burner and waive it. And when we need more parks, we budget for them and build them. The 2019 budget needs to be increased, whether we like it or not, with the way the city's going. I'm belaboring the point. I'm fully supportive of something that's going to help these people. What it is, Mr. Mayor, I'm not so sure I know anymore.
Okay. I'll just kind of add in my comments, and then we'll start delving and drilling down seeing if we can come to some sort of agreement. I think it would be a good idea to have some definition in there as to what special assessments are, what they consist of, as well as what are the normal fees that we would normally be charging, you know, the SAC fee, the building permit, and how those are derived. So I think that would be a good thing to have in the preamble. When it comes down to offering discounts, it gets down to a philosophical question as to how much money is the city willing to spend to get these things off the dead roll? That's kind of the bottom line, is right now we have $154,000 sitting. In fact, it might actually be a little bit more than that because some of it is a little bit hidden. And one of the first tasks that Deb will be tasked with doing is to get that list totally updated so that we have a really good handle as to which lots actually have special assessments on them. And that's all part of trying to get that resolved with the county so that that's not a surprise. But anyway, how much money are we willing to spend to get a return on our investment? And that's kind of the bottom line. With 154,000 sitting out there, are we willing to spend 10% of that 154,000 to get 135,000 back? So that's kind of where it is. And when it comes down to, we also have a caveat in here for the nonprofits. If we have somebody like Habitat that is coming in here to actually build, and here's where we use the buzzword affordable housing, because that carries a huge connotation as far as how this whole thing is treated from not only from a tax standpoint, but from a standpoint of who gets to move into that property, who gets to, and what kind of financing they get on it. When you use the buzzword affordable housing, it just opens up all sorts of benefit for the home buyer, okay? These people have a tendency, especially if it's from a place like Habitat, they vet the new owner rigorously, and you wind up with actually a very good tenant when they move into an affordable house, because they have a lot of skin in the game. They've done a lot of the work to get it. So that is one area where I would be very much in favor of having some sort of forgiveness on the special assessments that may be sitting on there, as well as the overall price of the lot. And that's where we do have, you know, some of these options. When it comes to the hold process in Section 4, I think we need to have a sunset on that. How long can they put it on hold? Hold process, can they come in and say, I'm going to put it on hold, and then we should allow them to have it on hold for a period of time with a not to exceed, because that otherwise it just ties up the lot.
Agreed.
For administrative fee, do we want to have a dollar amount, or should that be a percentage of the total package? If a developer is coming in and he wants to develop 7, 8 lots, and he wants to he plans on doing maybe 4 of them the first year, and he wants the second one on hold for his second year, giving a whole total package of X number of dollars. Do we want to have that as a percentage, or do we want to have it as a straight dollar figure? For something like that, I suspect that the cost would be higher for that magnitude of administrative paperwork. Okay, so now at this point, where do we want to go with this?
Question.
Yes.
If we abolish it, doesn't that set precedence for anybody else who wants to buy lots?
Well, it's kind of like what we learned in planning and zoning. Every case is special. There is no such thing as setting a precedent. lawyers will argue that precedent is being set, but in actuality, each case being unique, you treat it as being unique. And the argument that you are not setting a precedent is actually very valid.
All right, and Councilman Bakken, when you say give them the lots, do you mean free of assessments, no purchase price? What do you
I
say?
want to make it as easy, Counselor, on them as I can. And that's going to be a consensus of opinion with the input from the administrator here. I want it to get moving. Like I said, yeah,
Define-
I'm starting at
define-
zero, and I want to hear what you
define
got.
give them.
Exactly. I'll start at zero, and you tell me what you want to do, what different.
Okay.
And that, I'll base my vote on what I hear. We've got to help these people, or we're just kicking it down the road.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if I may,
please.
this would help for Councilman Ball and Councilmember Mitchell. At our special meeting, John Doty was here, and we were talking, and we were discussing the waiving of the special assessment, the prolonging it, and to my recollection of memory, and we might have to go to the exact minutes and tape on this, but his comment was, when we were concluding that, was that he said, even if you waived all the special assessments, I still have to come in and pay for a $6,000 to $8,000 building permit. Still have to pay a $3,800 sewer charge. He's like, all those fees are going to add up. And I didn't fully understand at that point then if we were still talking about the special assessment credits or if it was a complete picture of waiving all certain fees. And Mr. Bakken, you were there.
Yes, you bet.
And so I was slightly confused. I was hoping he would be here tonight to clarify that because it sounded from where I sat, my interpretation was he was looking not only to waive the special assessments, but he was also looking for a discount or free building permit, as well as a discount, if not free, SAC charge for the sewer. So I was hoping to get some more information from that tonight, but it's not. That's my opinion of what I took away from that, whether or not it was the same. Just some more information on how that meeting went with that.
Yes.
Right. And that's why I wanted to have some definition in the front as to what charges or what fees essentially are associated with developing a piece of property in Breezy Point. And I think the consensus of the council is that, like the sewer access fee and the building permit, those would not be waived.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
Yeah. So I think
You
we can.
can't.
I think we can.
You got to pay
agree on
the
that.
inspector. Agreed.
So,
Well, I want to see a limit on, if they buy 10 lots, at least 5 of those will be completely built within a 2-year period, with the remaining 5 to be
Right.
done in additional 2. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for a bunch of empty lots.
Right, and one of the things that I did have as far as what I was hoping to see, or not hoping to see, but what I would like to offer up, would be if you had a discount for let's call it volume developer. In other words, the guy that's going to come in and say, I want to do 4, 5, 6 lots, okay? He may, especially with knowing some of these lots in Breezy Point, some of them will be a real challenge, you know. And like John Doty was talking about, the lots that he was looking at would be a real challenge to build on, and he needs to bring in heavy equipment and basically reshape the land to have a buildable parcel. He can't do that on a lot-by-lot basis. He has to take like 4 or 5 of these lots that are all strung together and do it all at once. That's the only way he can economically do it. In a case like that, would I be willing to reduce the special assessment? I certainly would, because he's going to be essentially helping us out, getting 4 or 5 houses online within a certain period of time. So to have a a clause specifically talking about, volume developers, it wouldn't make sense to do it for the person that's buying one lot over the counter. They obviously know what their construction is going to be because they've looked at assuming they've looked at the lot, they know what they're signing up for. In that case, doing the reassessment offering, I think, would be the better choice to offer on something like that.
But he was not happy with the 50% reduction in
I know,
assessment.
yes, I know, that was, and part of that had to do with some miscommunication
Yes.
between when we were talking
Yeah.
to them in meetings, we were talking one thing and they were hearing something else.
Mhm.
And that's why we had this disconnect at the meeting.
If I may real quick ask one question that was brought up when we were talking about the sewer charges and the building permit fees, if I understood, I think the consensus was we have to pay the building inspector, right?
Amen.
Yes.
Sure.
If we take that same philosophy though, and we have to pay for the roads that were paved and the sewer that was put in too. That was a real
The
cost.
sewer charge we wouldn't be waiving, okay?
Right, but,
No.
but when I'm bringing up those special assessments were charged because we did bring sewer, we did bring paved roads. Those are real costs that were assumed when we did those properties, just like the building inspector to inspect the building. So to waive those, if you're gonna waive the special assessment, we should throw in talking about waiving the building inspection and waiving the sewer hookup fees, because those are real costs, just like the real costs were on bringing the roads and bringing the sewer. Just an observation of thought process for me.
No, that's a very good point.
Good point. Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
let me pose something here. When I was walking in the door this late afternoon, I thought to myself, I think it would have been, for me, beneficial if we had or have a workshop, council, and the administrator. And rather than debate this for 16 hours at a council meeting, which is fine with me, I think we could collectively come to a firmer opinion. And what I'm hearing tonight from Mike, from Gary, from yourself, all things that some of them I had not even thought of. I think it would benefit us, and then I might suggest, and it's like we're catering, or we're chasing or catering developers. I don't liken it to that. We're trying to solve a problem, and the only way we're going to be able to do it is collectively get in the room and beat it out. Get a proposal together that we can bring to the citizens with the administrator's blessing, and then maybe the principals, i.e. the administrator, yourself, Mr. Mayor, and whoever else needs to, have another meeting with Mr. Wiebold and the builder and see, I don't know what else to do. I just think we can come to grips with this better with a workshop and advice, and then back to the table again. As much as I hate to delay this, if we have to have a special meeting, I don't care about that. Let's have a special council meeting. A suggestion,
Okay.
just to throw it out on the floor.
And I think that is actually a very good suggestion based on the diversity of comments that we're coming up with tonight. As far as if we were to look at an updated draft at a workshop, I definitely would like to see some definitions in there. I think everybody agree with that as to.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we want to see an updated policy with definitions and how these fees are derived. We're obviously not going to be able to come up with a percentage discount at this point. I think that we'll have to hammer out following Gary's suggestion in a workshop. Do we want to have something in there for the volume developer, the guy that's going to commit to doing multiple lots right up front? And he's actually going to be utilizing the whole process to put multiple
Yes.
lots on sale or on hold. So we want to have like a section in there dealing with that. Do I
Are
hear-
these discussion points for the workshop, or are you
These-
just
these-
proposing
these would-
sections that
We would
may
have
be approved?
another section in here specifically dealing with the volume developer, the one that wants to do multiple lots.
So you're asking if Patrick should be composing that before the special
Yes,
workshop?
that's what I'm,
Yep, for discussion's sake.
okay. And adding in a length of time for something being allowed to be put on hold. We would just have words to that effect with a blank as to, we'll come up with that number. Now, when do we want to have this special workshop? I would like to see it done sometime this month. I don't want to, as Gary said, drag this out. We have Monday, the 23rd. That way we would have time to get the draft up. We would have a time to get the language out to the council for review and come to a consensus to get a final wording on the 23rd so that we could get it finalized in the packet for the August 6th meeting. Does that sound doable? Patrick, it's a lot on your shoulder as far as getting this done.
He's turning red.
I'd like to tell you no. I'd like to tell you no and push it off in another month. There's with elections and the comp plan and some other things. That's not,
We got a primary election coming, don't we?
and I kept thinking, what's on the 23rd? Well, that's the day Deb starts, but
That's right.
I'm sorry, I'd really like to push it off a month. We're still catching up from last month with,
Right.
23rd is out then. Am I here?
Well,
if you tell me to, I will do it, but
Well, the primary election's on the 14th.
I just don't think it's that complicated.
Pardon?
I just don't think it's that complicated.
Okay. Let's go for the 23rd. We'll do that, and I realize that's,
What day of the week is that?
that's a Monday.
23rd of,
23rd of July for a special meeting,
3 weeks.
3 weeks from today.
6 o'clock?
Let's make it 6 o'clock to keep.
I was making sure everyone heard 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Wait a minute now. Wait, I'm getting lost here. Is that the workshop?
That'll be the workshop.
Are you having it an open meeting?
It'll be an open meeting, yep. It'll be actually 2 days after the butterfly release. So you can take your butterfly and mark a little 23rd on it.
There goes my trip. I'll be here.
Okay. So
I'll
mark your
back the trip
calendars.
off.
We'll set a special meeting for the 23rd, and hopefully we can have a draft out for review ahead of that time.
We will.
And then the target would be to have this agreed upon and reviewed and approved on the August 6th meeting. We'll have a busy night on August 6th.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
one somewhere similar to all this, have we ever asked the county if they'd be willing to reduce the land purchase prices?
Yes, and they have been doing that.
And they have been doing it, but
Yes.
do they want to go further? Do they want to have one auction in Breezy Point that just gets rid of these?
Well,
Blows everybody away.
one of the things,
I know it's not gonna be a good thing for people who are trying to privately sell them, but.
right. One of the parcels that sold at the meeting last Friday, or Thursday, whatever it was, there was 4 lots, sold for $1,600. That's $400 a lot. You can't get it much lower than that. And we have been working with the county for several years because we have been specifically complaining that their prices are too high. And they have been dropping them down on a regular basis.
I'm glad that there's movement on that
Yes,
front.
there has been downward movement on a lot of them.
Thank you.
So, do I understand that the builders didn't have a problem with the price? They just wanted the assessment?
Basically, the problem with the builders is they need to build a house that is cost-effective, okay? And they need to have it for a target market of less than 200,000. Okay, so they want it in the 150 to 170, 180 range, okay? And with the sewer fees and with the building permit fees that are already fixed, okay? The land price and the special assessments are a big hurdle for them to be able to get into that market and actually be able to make money on building the house. He's in it for a profit.
So this whole thing took place because there was a misunderstanding?
Is let's put it this way, the hard feelings that were felt at the last special meeting that we had was primarily the thinking that he was thinking all of the fees, special assessments, as well as the SAC and the building permit would be waived, or at least impartial, okay? Which, in our minds, we had never been talking that, we'd only been talking the special assessments.
Okay, that makes it much clearer.
Yes, so I mean, that was an epiphany that happened late in the meeting, and things did not go well, I'll have to say. And it was basically primarily a miscommunication. We'd been talking one thing and they were hearing something else.
Well, before the workshop, we need Patrick or somebody to clarify some of this so that we know what we're working with. Because otherwise we're just delaying, this whole thing
And
for no reason.
yeah, in actuality, there's less than 50, actually like around 40 some odd lots that have special assessments on them. Everything else has a zero special assessment.
Over-the-counter lots.
Over the counter or on auction. Either one.
All right, okay. I wasn't, because I think you said that
This-
list was just.
Yes, this with the blue thing in your packet lists all of the lots in Breezy Point that have special assessments.
Okay, over-the-counter or auction.
Right, yeah. And a developer looks at this and he can say, okay, I'd like to buy X number of lots. But it's the special assessment thing that's maybe causing him problems. If there was lots that had zero special assessment, we wouldn't even be talking about this. And we do have, well, there's about 50 here, with probably another 290 that have zero special assessment on them.
Well, we wouldn't be talking about it, then the sewer and the others fees wouldn't be a problem.
Correct.
But you said that he understood that they would be waived as well.
Right.
And
Okay.
Councilman Bakken, you mentioned that you thought the fees were too high, or developers thought the fees are too high?
Yes, I've heard that from more than one developer,
been reviewed?
private developer.
In comparison to other cities?
Building permit fees,
Well, the building permit is relatively high from the standpoint of we follow the Uniform Building Code. A lot of other cities do not follow the UBC, in which case things are a little bit cheaper, and you can get something a little bit cheaper if that's what you want. One of the things that I am very strongly an advocate for is you follow the UBC if you are going to have
I too,
quality
absolutely.
construction within your city.
Patrick, have you gone through anything like this in the past, where you know, a situation like this that we're talking about now?
Yes, obviously, I was on the HRA board when we did the Brainerd Oaks project. But also, you know, when I worked in Aiken County, we did not charge a building permit fee. City of Brainerd does. There's not as many as Mayor talked about. Many of the cities in Crow Wing County, and I believe the county, do not require a building permit. And so when you build a new house in Breezy Point, you're going to have at least 7 inspections. And there's a detailed list of how those inspections go. But if you build a new house in the county, they're going to do an inspection to verify that the lot meets setbacks with pins, and then build your house. We're going to be there for footings, we're going to be there for foundations, and a great deal more throughout that process, besides from a plan review check fee. That's going to be a plan review and the check fee and the details that go through, and that's why there's a higher fee. It's for protection, and I've found that, and I had an argument with some of our builders about that too, or discussion, but I had the same argument in many of the other cities, and it's for the protection of the residents. And when there's been a problem, the building inspector will be there for the residents to help them out as far as what has to be done and why the code is enforced that way.
I will 100% agree with that, living through the experience myself.
Yeah, no, I am not against that at all. I totally agree with it. I just need to get an education here on some of this stuff. Okay.
Not having any inspection is the real education.
Oh, yeah, I know. No,
Yes.
Okay, so the resolution on this is we're going to have another draft with the comments that we've made. We will have a workshop meeting, informal workshop meeting on the 23rd at 6 o'clock with the expected outcome to have a finalized draft ready for approval on the August 6th meeting. Everybody agreed? Say aye.
Aye.
Yes. Okay, now we'll get to the golf cart path. We have had some discussions with wanting to have a golf cart path from the intersection of County Road 4 and 11 to Canary to start with. Patrick has had some discussions with the county as far as what they need for a maintenance agreement. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot to bring forward as far as quotes because everybody's really, really busy this time of year with construction, and we're having a hard time getting people to respond to getting us some quotes. Councilman Bakken, I'll let you expound on this because this is part of the whole beautification program.
Yeah, the subcommittee reduced the cart path on the west side of 4 going south for the simple reason of the cost per mile. Cost preventative, it's very expensive. So we're waiting for that bid to come in and at least to show the public, citizens, of which I'm one, that the city is moving forward with the beautification project as fast as it can in light of the current developments in the city, the plaza, to speak. I don't have anything else on that, other than we want to get that figure in and hopefully we can get it started yet this year, Mr. Mayor.
I will have to add, we have had just a kind of a rule of thumb type estimate of $85,000 per mile to put in a path of this construction. In being about 1,600 feet down to Canary, that'd be about 3/10 of a mile. So we would kind of expect a cost somewhere around maybe $26,000 to $30,000 at the most. So it's not a huge amount of money, but it's something that I think we can afford for this year, even though it's not been budgeted. We have,
Right.
in our 401 fund, we do have some wiggle room there to put in a project like this. Hopefully, we can get some more quotes and be very possibly back for the August meeting as far as being able to make a decision on it. One of the things that I just thought of as I was driving down the path here the other day, have we informed the residents along that route? Send them a letter saying this is what we're planning?
No.
Should we, I would think that would be kind of a good idea, even though it's going to be all on county property essentially. I think it would be a good idea to get the residents to weigh in, or at least be informed that we're trying to get rid of this ugly cow path that's developed right along the road there, and try and beautify that.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Bakken,
Yes.
throwing this out there, with the county recently passing the ordinance to allow Class 1 ATVs now in the right-of-way shoulders of county roads, have we considered, and this might be a safety issue that Chief Merschman would want to weigh in on as well, but instead of paving that path, would we want to consider working with the county in a fast amount of way that we would then allow golf carts on the path, on the county road?
The answer to that is yes, and I tried.
Okay,
Yeah, he
Told
did.
no.
Yep.
by the county?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Yep. For the public hearing, I wanted them to allow golf carts.
Yep, I read the minutes on that, and the county specifically stated that they've already gone down the path of an ATV ordinance, and in an ATV ordinance, you cannot write in a golf cart. However, if they would have started with a golf cart ordinance, they would have been able to write in an ATV. They did comment on there that there are other counties that have golf cart ordinances, but again, since they've already gone down the path of an ATV ordinance, it could not be incorporated with a golf cart. And that's why I think it'd be best of us to reapproach that and ask them, would they be willing, just like they had an ATV Class 1 ordinance for, couldn't tell you which road, but there's a road in Cross Lake that they allowed ATV Class 1s on the county road due to prohibiting factors that they couldn't ride in a ditch. Could we go to them and ask, within the city limits of Breezy Point, would you allow golf carts on the right-of-way of county roads, similar as an ATV Class 1?
That was exactly the argument that I was trying to propose.
Yep.
verbatim.
I
They
think
said,
the letter you wrote in May that Mr. Titi responded to, and the county engineer saying
Yep.
no.
Yep.
But that was in the request that I thought we shared with the council.
Yep, and reading through those county minutes, though, they acknowledged it, but they said they could not write a golf cart in to the ATV ordinance.
And that was based on state statute. That-
Yep. But again, they could write a golf cart ordinance.
That could be possible, but I would expect that would probably be years away.
I would be interested to seeing, I don't have any contact
I
with the
mean,
county.
that would be the ideal
If
solution.
we could approach them and ask them if they'd be willing to work with this and potentially expedite it.
Like I say, the feeling that I got when I attended the public hearing on that and made my comments was that they weren't at all interested.
they were not cooperative,
Right.
period.
Yeah. So anyway, but that should be something that possibly we could pursue in the future. But I don't think I want to hold my breath on it. So anyway, that's, I think the next step is to get some quotes in, and I would definitely recommend maybe getting a letter out to at least the property owners that would be impacted.
We'll do the letter to the property owners. We'll work on still obtaining the quotes, but we still have to have a maintenance agreement because we can't get in there whatsoever.
Right.
If the contractor came in tomorrow and said, I can do the work Friday, we still have to say no because, and I did have a conversation finally after weeks of calling the county and about getting a draft agreement together.
That's basically step one before we can even go anywhere, is we have to have that maintenance agreement with the county all approved. So that's where we stand on that. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole heck of a lot we can talk about. Next item is the tractor broom. Recently, we had an accident where a car driver was coming up behind the tractor that was sweeping the streets. And because it was dusty, they couldn't see through the cloud of dust, and they drove right into the rear end of the tractor that was sweeping the street. Anyway, Joe, why don't you fill us in, because there's been some talks back and forth with the insurance company, and I think we have a solution which we just got here as a handout.
Yes. Essentially, I proposed to the insurance agent that instead of repairing the sweeper on the tractor, if we could find a cheaper solution to repairing it, if she'd be open to that, and she was. I'm in the process of securing prices on sweeper attachments for the front of a skid steer and a tool cat. I think they'll have other benefits as far as safety and operation. I think it'll do a better job in certain areas. And it will be cheaper. I don't have my second quote. I probably receive it tomorrow. But that's essentially all I'm looking at is to prove, once I get a quote, and I can determine which front sweeper to get, and then that bill will be turned into insurance because they were going to pay to repair the tractor broom, and that tractor broom will be scrapped essentially.
Okay, so what you're requesting here is authorization to work with the insurance company to replace the sweeper?
Yep.
Okay, but it's all going to be paid for essentially by the insurance?
Yes, except the deductible, obviously. I mean, that's going to be separate, but
Okay. So,
but it will be it'll be under the insurance. Yes.
Our insurance is paying for that, is that what I'm hearing, Say's insurance, or the offender that ran into the back of the city vehicle?
That I'm not sure of.
The offender will be paying.
Pardon me?
The offender will be paying in this case.
but we work through our insurance,
Thank you.
and then they contact the insurance.
That's the way it goes, and they
Yep.
counter sue, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. So I guess the resolution here is to authorize Public Works to complete the work with the insurance to repair or to replace the sweeper.
So moved.
So moved. Second. Don, further discussion? Gary?
No.
No, sir.
All those in favor of pursuing the insurance claim, please say aye. And that completes our agenda. Don't forget the butterfly release. That's July 21st at 11 o'clock. So we want to see those butterflies.
And our August meeting will be at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Our August meeting will be 6 p.m.
Thank you.
For those people that walked in at 10 minutes to 7.